Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. We have got some bookish news hot off the presses to share with you today. Hey, what is up, everyone? My name's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. I make bookish content here on YouTube and over on Instagram. By the title of this video, I am sure you know that today's video is going to be all about Fairyloot. This is a very recent, currently unfolding event that is happening. So I don't have the outcome of this or anything like that. So we're just going to dive into it. I'm going to tell you what I know so that you don't have to go through the effort of looking for it yourself. As always, there are some links in the description if you want to do your own looking, but I'm going to show pretty much everything that involves this in the video itself. Fairyloot, for those of you who don't know, is a fantasy book subscription box. They have a YA category, an adult category. You choose a plan which starts from like 24 British pounds a month or something like that. And in return, you receive their book of the month with a special edition hardcover, dust jacket, stuff like that. If you buy one of the larger boxes, it also comes with exclusive items. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward bookish subscription service. Whoa. Okay, I have no idea if I accidentally turned my mic off or not, so if the audio is totally messed up for the rest of this video, I am so sorry. I've actually never used a bookish subscription service like this before myself, but I can definitely see the appeal of it, especially if you like to have special, pretty hardcovers of books. And if you're a big fantasy reader, these are probably a lot of books that you were looking at reading anyway. They tend to choose a lot of the more popular books that a lot of readers are interested in. And they must be doing pretty well for themselves because you currently have to be on a wait list if you want to order their subscription service, which is wild to me. I'm like curious how many boxes how many orders they have to fill that they have to have a wait list for it. Like that is yeah. Also, if you've ever gotten off the wait list for them, I'm curious. Definitely let me know down below because I want to know how many people get off those kinds of wait lists or if it's just like perpetual perpetual waiting forever. And I have to say, some of these boxes are freaking gorgeous. I was looking through their like past boxes and everything. Wow, some of this stuff is stunning. You can get like character art, pins, bookmarks, socks, a blanket. Like I saw this mushroom spoon. I am literally obsessed with it. I need it. And I don't know if there's any way for me to get it. It's so beautiful. And on top of that, the books are also just very beautiful. There's always like gorgeous artwork. It's always like the sprayed edges, very, very beautiful work. Like if I saw that in Barnes and Noble or at some other bookstore, I would easily drop 30 bucks on it, especially if that's something that you're interested in collecting or you just really like pretty editions of your books. So you're probably wondering why I'm making this video, what happened, like why is everyone so pissed off at them? Well, on March 20th, so I'm filming this on the 25th. On March 20th, they released the first look of the first part of the Throne of Glass series books that they're releasing, their special edition. So there's, I think, 8 books in the series in total. This is going to be part 1 of 2, so 4 books. I'm not going to get into the book series or what it's about because I'm not the very biggest Sarah J. Maas fan, and I've never read the books, and I don't really want to read the books. But this is a very incredibly popular series with a very hungry fan base. A lot of people who are interested in her work like to buy stuff of that work, if that makes sense. Like art, special editions, they're very into those kinds of things. And that's okay. Like, I think that's fine. They are coming out in collaboration with Sarah J. Maas and Bloomsbury, which is the publisher. So they're licensed, they're official, like they've been approved and checked. So I'm going to read off this list. So like what you get in it is an exclusive redesigned cover, which I'll show. Let me just like move over. We've got the new covers here. The dust with reversible dust jackets and character art. There's foil on the hardcover on the front and back. There's also going to be character artwork on the end papers with foiled character artwork on the end papers as well with a different front and back. Digitally sprayed edges, which are going to line up and create a design, and head and tail bands to just make it look fancy. And that is straight from their page. That's like what is going to be in on it. These books, this set is not part of the monthly subscription. This is like separate from that. So if you subscribe to them, you don't automatically get it. You have to buy it by itself. They cost 160 British cost 160 Great British Pound or $200 USD plus shipping. And right now they're expected to ship around September, October. And then, so that's for the first half and then the second half. So in total, this set of 8 books is going to cost a whopping $400 plus shipping if you live in the US. Which, okay, that's a pretty big price tag. Like But if you break it down per book, it's like what, like $50 a book? So you're getting character art, foils, it's a hardcover, special edition. Like I can see where that price is coming from. And I don't think it's necessarily outrageous because like books are expensive. They've always been expensive. And these kinds of special editions, hopefully they're paying their artists well. In that case, I'm hoping that that is also reflected in the price. They're also going to be exclusive. You won't be able to buy these specific editions anywhere else. So if you buy into the whole idea of like exclusivity, there you go. Like that's where some of that's also coming from. And of course, since these are real artists and not AI, in theory, artists should be paid for their work. Anyway, yeah, that's the whole thing with that. And you know, they're really pretty. Like, I mean, I don't think they're like the ugliest books ever in the world. They're not necessarily what I would go for 100% of the time, but I can definitely see the appeal of something like this. At this point, you're probably like, okay, they're books. Yeah, they're kind of expensive, but like, what's the problem here? You know, are people mad about the shipping? The quality, whatever. And actually, surprisingly, no, that has not been the overwhelming complaint with this book series. There is another book company going by the name of, oh, I'm totally gonna butcher this. I think it's Acrylic Pick, Acrylics Picks. Um, on Instagram, it's at Acrylic Pick Bookish Nook. I like can't say it. Anyway, it's going to be spelled somewhere on the screen if you want to check them out. This is a small company run by a young woman named Marissa. She is an artist who originally started out just making acrylic art based on the book series that she really loved. Sarah J. Maas seemed to really like her work as well, and so now all of her stuff is also licensed through Sarah J. Maas and like everything. It's like official licensed merch. She also does painted edges for books, and her work is honestly pretty stellar. I must say it's beautiful. I will show examples here. It's absolutely gorgeous what she does. So she kind of, from my understanding, blew up on TikTok. Her art did, and Sarah J. Maas was like into it, and so now she's officially licensed by them. I'd never heard of her before, but I have definitely seen some of this artwork before, so that should kind of tell you like you might be familiar with this artist in some way, even if you don't know who she is. Well, Marissa is also selling sprayed edges of the Throne of Glass series. Her set is being sold in total for all 8 books at $325. And like correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's for all 8 of the books, not a set of 4. So it's a little bit more expensive, but if you like break down the price, it still ends up being I think about $70 less than the other one. And I'm just going to show you the art side by side really quick. Now, I'm not gonna say they look exactly the same, um, but there are definitely some similarities here. One thing to point out, though, is that the white stag, um, versus the brown stag has some significance, especially to the fan base. This is one of the things that they were very upset about. So I've never read these books, but there were lots of angry comments about it. In the book, it is supposed to be a white stag, and on the Fairyloot edition, it is a brown stag. And this is very significant because it's literally like one of the characters. It's very significant to the story. He's described as a white stag deer thing. Like, is that right? But not only are people upset about the deer being the wrong color, they're also upset that these book edges look pretty similar to each other. And I'm not going to say that this is intentional plagiarism. Like, that's not where I'm coming from at all. This is all alleged. This could be complete coincidence. This is just what everyone is pointing out on the internet, okay? So let me make that clear. I am not saying that the people at Fairyloot stole this idea or this art whatsoever. I'm not saying that. But acrylic books have already gone out a few times. So her books were made and created first, and they're doing batch orders, and I don't think this is the first batch, so this is like not a new product for them versus Fairyloot just announced this on the 20th. So just for timeline, the Acrylipics, they were first. This was not the only thing that people kind of really got pissed about. A lot of people also were not big fans of the character art being used in this. One complaint is that all of them look the same, and I gotta be honest, I think that's a Sarah J. Maas thing. I don't think that's the artist. But I digress. Others didn't like the artistic rendition of some of the characters, saying that they looked weird or ugly or that their proportions were off. Honestly, when I looked at this the first time, I didn't notice any of that. Hi there, it's Editing Emily, and I know it's been like a month since I first filmed this video, so obviously there's been an update, and I can tell you now that Fairyloot has postponed their release of the Throne of Glass book series. We don't know exactly what they're going to do or change. And I went back to try and find the character art that everyone was so upset about, and I think it's off their page. So I'm not able to give you any examples of that. I'm so sorry. That's all me for not taking screenshots fast enough. Yes, and I'm sorry that this video took forever. It's been crazy. I'm also not an art critic, so who am I to say? But I will say I do think that these character designs look very similar to a lot of the other character artwork that has been shown on Fairyloot. Like, I don't think this is different than the other stuff that they've done in the past. Like, it doesn't strike me as bad or worse in some way. It just seems very similar. It looks like all of the fantasy book character art that we see. And also, these were created by artists that Fairyloot has used many, many times before. So it would be really surprising to me if, like, for this, like, just randomly it was bad because it's been so good in the past. Like, I don't really see that, but honestly, it could happen, obviously. Um, but yeah, that just kind of struck me as a little bit odd. But by the by, the most anger was at the sprayed edges and how similarly they resemble Acrylopic's also sprayed edges of their collection. As Fairyloot is a much larger company and Acrylopix is a also I mean they might both be considered small businesses, but Acrylopix is definitely much smaller than Fairyloot. And so people think and are suggesting that Fairyloot is just trying to make a quick buck by copying a smaller artist and just basically selling this very popular series for as much money as possible. I don't know. Tell me. Tell me in the comments if you think that's what they're doing, because I don't know. I will say though, one thing is that compared to the other special edition books on their website, these books do look a bit boring. I'm not sure what the artistic intention was with this, or like what they were trying to do with the special edition, but the colors are very muted. It's pretty, it's fine, but I don't think it's anything special compared to a lot of the other special editions that they've done, especially for something where like the fan base is so particular. You would think that they would try and do something that they knew would get people really excited about it. Um, because sometimes, I don't know, I feel like companies, if they know a fan base will buy anything, no matter what, then they don't try as hard to make a good product because they know it'll sell. So then it kind of makes you think like, oh, were they just trying to do this as quickly as possible to just make as much money as possible? I don't know. And, you know, maybe they were trying to go in a different direction, but it doesn't seem to really fit the vibes that people are saying the books possess in the comments. They're like, it's boring, it's muted, versus this is like a very magical and bright fantasy world. And then I think that doubled with the people not liking the art and the sprayed edges and the stag being the wrong color, I think really just kind of sent people over the edge and they were very mad about it. And they definitely let Fairyloot know that they were pissed. And also, this set, according to the other people on Instagram, I couldn't find any other sets available on their website right now, but they said that this set is more expensive than the other sets that they have sold in the past. So I tried to find an example of this, but I couldn't. So I'm just gonna have to take that at people's word, take that or leave it. I couldn't find anything comparable to a set of 4 books for 200. If someone else knows of something in the past that they've done, definitely let me know. But I couldn't find anything. I'm not saying it's not there, but so not only do people think the covers are boring and they think that they're cutting corners to save money, but they're also charging more than they have in the past. Through all of this, some people did stand up for the artists and were just like, stop bashing on the artists. They didn't, it's not their fault. And I do think a lot of the anger is being misdirected at the artists when we don't necessarily know if it was them. I feel like the anger should really be at a company like Bloomsbury or Sarah J. Maas, since they're licensing this. Someone had to greenlight this. Someone had to see it and be like, yep, that looks good. And you would think that the people who are greenlighting it would be people familiar with the series. So someone somewhere messed up and didn't check the color of the stag or to see if there were any other similar sprayed edges to this. So the question is like, was no one checking this? Like, did someone miss a check? What's happening here? You know, like that has to be someone's job, right? Because you'd think if this was like the big thing that was going to make your company a bunch of money, you'd want it to be really good, right? So that you sell out of it. But now I feel like no, not as many people are going to order it because it's not a true representation of the books. I don't know, like that's just kind of what I'm getting from this. And the other question is like, Someone pointed out in the comments, Acrylic books, her sprayed edges are also licensed by Sarah J. Maas and Bloomsbury. So, like, is it a question of like they saw the opportunity to go through Fairyloot and make a bunch more money to a wider fan base audience as well, and then like just not really care if things weren't accurate, hoping that they wouldn't notice that maybe it's very similar to the other one because it's a much smaller brand, like and listen, I really don't trust companies like whatsoever when it comes to stuff like this. I feel like they will do anything to make an extra dollar. And so it wouldn't surprise me if Bloomsbury saw dollar signs in their eyes and was like, yeah, we should take this idea with Acrylics and give it to Fairyloot and Greenlight, whatever, so that we can make more money to a wider audience. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying that that's what they did, but it wouldn't surprise me if companies, they think with dollar signs. So, and I don't know, along with hate going to the artists, I always have to wonder, I'm not a an artist like that. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but like I always wonder if they're given like prompts. And so I want, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility if they were like, "Hey, we need a castle and a deer on the painted edges, and this is what we need something like this." And they came up with what they came up with, if that would be similar to the other one. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility for two artists to come up with a very similar thing. Like, the style does look different on these. Like, it's not like they took the design and copy and pasted it. Do you know what I mean? And like, this landscape isn't necessarily like totally unique. You know what I mean? So like, it's in the realm of possibility that they were given a prompt and just came up with an image that was super similar to the other one. It's possible. The part for me that is a little like yikes is there's like this dragon and this bird both flying in the air on both of them, and they look pretty similar. And now maybe they're using templates. I don't know how this all works. Maybe they have the same template or the same outline that they're using for it. Totally possible. But again, that's the only part for me that I'm like, that's a little suspicious. But at the very least, it looks like they could have been inspired by the other person's design. Honestly, it's so messy. I have no idea how this whole thing got greenlit. Like, or that they didn't take it back right away and just like, we're like, we're going to fix this. They did not. So yeah, people think the colors are a bit dull. People just aren't excited for the release whatsoever. And Fairyloot was like silent about it for like 2 days after this all went down. And people in the comments were furious. They were like, "Your silence is so loud. We can hear your silence. You better say something and apologize to Acrylics right now." And then they posted this on their story. And so it kind of sounds like they're going to do something about it, although what, we have no idea yet. And it does sound like they're standing by their artists, which, given the fact that these artists have worked with them so many times in the past, that doesn't really surprise me. And I do like when companies side by the people that they hired to do a job, unless they're like covering up for something, but I don't know. I don't think that's what's happening here. Also, I feel like doing a story and not even a post, like that is like the absolute bare minimum, bar is on the floor response you can do. They did hire and pay these people for their work, so I guess like standing by them is literally like the absolute minimum that they can do. But I also feel like this didn't really address a single concern that anyone had about the set whatsoever. They didn't mention Acrylics in this whatsoever. They didn't say like, "Oops, maybe this was a mistake. We're going to see like what's going on. Oh, we realized this was really similar. Like, let's take it back," or something. I don't know what I want them to do, but I feel like I wanted them to say a little bit more. I feel like this was like the minimum to say, like, to stay like as neutral as possible, to be like, "Yeah, something, so we messed up, but we stand by what we put out there." And then today, or no, and then yesterday, they did a post showcasing the work of these artists that they've done previous before, and how great their work is and how great their work has always been. And again, I do appreciate them like standing by their artists because they did hire them for this job, but I feel like they're again not addressing the problem that people have, which is like the potential plagiarism of a much smaller business in the effort to get a bigger profit. I will be curious to see how this unfolds, but let me know what you think should happen in the comments below. I want to know what you think about the edges. Do you think it's plagiarized? Do you think it's inspired? Do you think it was just coincidence? And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you'd like to see from me, be sure to let me know down below as well. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my writing and bookish content, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel because it helps me out so much and helps me keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you so much as always for supporting me. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.